Hello, everyone. Hi. Um, I'm doing a video that I probably will regret doing because I'm not trying to jump in the middle of a fire storm. But it's a topic that caught my attention that's been trending lately, and I'm not trying to ride anyone's coattails or anything because odds are no one is going to see this. Like all my videos and YouTube's algorithm, I get I'm I'm an amoeba, pretty much. I'm an amoeba at the bottom of the ocean around a thermal vent, completely oblivious to the entire universe or galaxy that is YouTube. Um, but this just caught my attention. I think it goes along with a lot of things I've been noticing lately, even on Twitch, which is my primary focus. And that's the situation with the YouTuber CoryxKenshin. Um, Now, this is a smart man. He is very well spoken, and YouTube should be scared of this guy. I admire the hell out of this man. Um, Now, you probably all know this, or if you don't, uh, Mr. Kenshin, and I'll use Kenshin because I am an amoeba at the bottom of the vent, and he's like, the size of Jupiter and the size of the YouTube galaxy. Um, so I don't have the right to call him by his first name. But it all started with this game called The Mortuary Assistant, which I saw on Steam, and I personally looked at it and said, interesting game, but I think it might be a little too risque. But a lot of big YouTubers latched onto it and went and did that. And hey, knowing how finicky and picky and, well, lack of the better term, prissy that YouTube can be, go for it. More power to you. You've got guts. But his video got a age restriction strike. Which, if anyone knows anything about YouTube, all of YouTube revenue, and I'm a nothing, and I don't even monetize on YouTube, and I know that 99% of the money you make off a video is going to come in the first 48 to 72 hours after posting. So if anything gets restricted, and there's a lot of little kids that mommy and daddy just give a tablet to and say, "Here, honey, we're going to go and have our adult time, so you watch this." Um, that can cut off a significant revenue stream for ad revenue, and yeah, that can pretty much mess up a. Considering I've tried editing, I suck at editing. That's why I don't do it. It's a lot of hours in skill, and if you get something that age restricted, that's a lot of hours and skill just flushed down the toilet, and that's what happened. The caveat with this whole argument, though, and pardon me while I use Darth Vader as this background for this little rant, is Markiplier, which is like the YouTube ambassador, the golden child, the second coming of YouTubedom. Um, and I'm not meaning this as a slight towards him. He's a very successful person. He worked really hard to get there. It's more of like sarcasm how YouTube of all the creators have picked just a handful of people to act like they're their own personal ambassadors of the second coming. Well, Markiplier put the exact, or Mr. Markiplier, I should say, sorry, put the exact same video footage up from the game. And hey, everything he did was fine. No strikes or anything else. Well, Mr. Kenshin continued to press this based on that. And it wasn't just Mr. Markiplier, it was several other big names who had the same game footage. And they removed his age restriction. He kept at it. And I can understand why to a certain extent. He wants to know, hey, how do I prevent this in the future? The video has already been damaged. I mean, it was already age restricted and it took several days for this. So the big chunk of money, the big chunk of revenue that he was seeing on that video had already, sprouted YouTube wings and flown into the heaven of the internet. I mean, so it wasn't going to hurt him anymore on that video. And no one could give him a good answer. And when he pressed the issue, well, they ended up striking everyone who ever had that piece of footage on there. And it was a knee-jerk reaction because they got called out on it. Now, the thing that I'm reacting part, and I think this is shows Mr. Kenshin's intelligence and his knowledge of how powerful words and phrasing can be. He came out and accused YouTube of playing favorites, being racist, or both, in his words. I don't believe for 5 minutes that he believes YouTube is racist. I mean, we don't know who's on their team, but I believe he knows as well as I do. And I've been guilty of doing the same tactic at work because I was in a really shitty situation at work. But certain phrases, certain words hold power. And the reason, and I'm not saying racism doesn't exist, it does. There are some scumbags out there who, are completely off the rails in the belief of their own superiority. But I don't think it's so much prevalent in a company like YouTube, especially since they have a minority president in charge of Google. And I believe YouTube is one of the alphabet companies. What I believe is going on is it's simple. And it's probably a little bit more diabolical. And it's something that people like me, the Amoebas, and people I've known and talked to who channels are starting to get off the ground slowly but surely, face the same problem. And it's money. That's what it comes down to. In a spreadsheet, it is very easy to type in a mathematical formula if you want to show profits of a certain segment, and for it to the Microsoft spreadsheet program. Why am I having a problem remembering? But I'm not going to dwell on it. To just automatically stimulate a graph based on those numbers. And you can also whitelist and blacklist certain numbers from that graph. And YouTube treats their algorithm like it's right up there. It's in the safe next to the number of Steam Decks sold and the Colonel's secret recipe for fried chicken. They're a little overly protective of it. And I want to just go on a speculation here that Markiplier and some of the big names that routinely act as ambassadors for the brand and bring in X number of dollars are in an automatic whitelist. I would not be a bit surprised that in their system there is an exception list. And Mr. Kenshin doesn't publish videos often. He admits so he'll take 5-month breaks. I do the same thing, and I'm a nobody because I never see a dime and probably never will from YouTube. It's not my primary concern in life, and it's not my primary source of income. And I have a feeling the same is true with Mr. Kenshin, but he's a lot more savvy and a lot better at, the YouTube game than I am. And he doesn't meet the certain standards and qualifications. And they just don't want to admit it. They do not. They want to make everyone believe that a person out there looks at their videos and, especially people who have 14, 15, 20 million subscribers, and they're given the white glove presidential treatment. And I don't believe that at all, especially with, company cutbacks and everything else, and how obsessed they are with the CEO getting his 5th corporate yacht and his 27th beach house somewhere. The number of people they'd have to hire to go over even the big names on YouTube, each one of their videos by hand, would be, the cost benefit would not be there for the company. So I think it's more likely that there is a computer algorithm that just matches certain criteria. Certain people are in the whitelist, and then there is the rest of the world. And the computer matches that up to what they consider inappropriate or deem inappropriate. And that is my honest to believe what's going on here. And the reason I'm doing this video, and like I said, I don't even know if I'll post this, is because it's a crummy thing to do, especially to someone with millions of subscribers who does really good on the platform. To, within that elite list, to whittle it down to even more of an elite handful of people. To whitelist or whatever. I mean, automatically whitelist everything they do. But again, Mr. Kenshin is a very intelligent man, and he knows how to use certain words to take action. I really don't believe he thinks YouTube is racist. I think he is angry. I think he is frustrated. I think, like a lot of people, there's been a lot of problems with YouTube and their clarity and their transparency on certain issues. And if you have 14 million plus subscribers, and there should be clarity on the issue. Even if you have to sign an NDA agreement, you should be able to go to YouTube and say, I'm making some good change on here. I've got 14 million followers. Tell me what's going on. I'll sign an NDA, but explain to me the process. I am technically acting as your functionary. I am an independent contractor, and you are holding back information that is pertinent to my success and my income as an independent contractor. I mean, any business that has independent contractors, there is need to know information, and that is what, in the YouTube world, people need to know. It'd be nice if everyone would privy to it, but if you're already an elite, you shouldn't have to go through the, well, I'm lucky, you shouldn't have to go through the rigmarole of YouTube thinking that you're lucky enough that we handed you a representative to reach out to. That just doesn't cut it when you got those numbers like that and metrics. You should deserve a lot more than just a name to be able to message or email. You deserve answers. What's going on. Once you get, up to the 10 million subscriber mark, they should have like an onboarding packet saying, welcome to the 10 million subscriber benchmark. Here's the onboarding packet for everyone from 10 million and above. And that should be in there. But it isn't. And I think this is coming down to, and one reason I want to do this video is some of the things I've noticed on a lot of platforms that have a monopoly, so to speak. And same through is Twitch. Twitch allows way too many, in my opinion, inappropriate things on their platform. I mean, if anyone has ever, when I was doing my streaming series with Mook Nation as guys before a lot of them kind of sadly broke up and we went our separate ways, we did a Valheim co-op and or collab, how they call it these days. And they brought to my attention, and we started talking about certain YouTubers. And I'll give you the hint: just go into not YouTubers, but Twitch streamers, and just type in "hot tub" on the top of this Twitch search bar, and you're going to see some stuff that, I don't think should be there, unage restricted. That 12-year-old Timmy should be able to, and 12-year-old Tabitha should just be able to type in hot tub and see what they're seeing. And the same thing is going on in both places. This is why I'm trying to bring it all together, and why I wanted to speak about this Mr. Kenshin's incident. And I've seen Jacksepticeye do a video about it, and a lot of big names are just doing bit names, but all of them are 10 million plus subscriber guys. None of them are the nobody amoebas or the average guy who's watching all of this from the sidelines going, what the huh? So that's why I decided to do this. And also because Twitch is my primary focus. YouTube is way too gimmicky. like he mentioned, like Jacksepticeye mentioned in his video about, um, oh, you have to, trends in YouTube are changing and you have to make a clickbait thumbnail. And I don't do gimmicks. I stream because I enjoy it. The last couple streams I had, where I had a lot of interaction with people, that's what I like. I like interacting with people. I don't want to, I want to spend the time, instead of spending 8 hours editing a video, which I'm bad at and I know is going to be subpar anyway. I'd rather spend that time doing a stream interacting with people. And that's why YouTube is pretty much my depository for my previous streams. Because it's there to, maybe someone might come across it when they're looking for a specific game, but it's not my primary focus. And I know I'm rambling, and I probably should have written the script, so I apologize. But these are the kinds of thoughts that people have when they watch this stuff from the outside. They don't sit down and write a 5 hour, a 15, 20-minute script about every single subtext and subheading. But when I just wanted to say something, especially because of what I saw witnessing on Twitch, especially with, when I said if you type in hot tub, certain people, no matter what they are, if they have the numbers, can get away with put on a whitelist. And I don't even think that once you get so big that there's honestly a human being that actually checks the content that you're putting in. I honestly believe that you make a certain metric, the computer sees, oh, this person making this metric is releasing content and they've been on the platform for this long. You're cool. We're not even going to look at your stuff. It's cool. And then there's everyone else who gets treated differently. And I think the whole problem with this, and what it all stems by, is where are you going to go? If you're interested in streaming and chatting with people, even if you're an amoeba nobody like me, where are you going to go? They shut down Mixer. All the other Omegle is in, or I butchered that name, or Keek even, has turned into, advertisements for OnlyFans. And Twitch is going the same way. I mean, if you look at a lot of the stuff on there, it's like, again, search hot tub, and it's pretty much future OnlyFan stars. It's sad. But where are you going to go? YouTube's the same way. If you enjoy editing videos, if you're taking classes and learning to be a video editor, where are you going to go? These companies have a monopoly on the market. It's like, why do you think every time a small startup like Mixer, for example, started, and big names were jumping ship from YouTube over to Mixer, not only were they getting a payday from Microsoft, but they wanted a break from the YouTube nonsense. And they were... people are desperate for someplace else to go other than YouTube and Twitch. But there just isn't any place. There's one other company I think is trying, or I don't know if they've given up. I honestly haven't looked into it, but it was Float Plane with Linus Tech Tips. But it was like the gold spoon for streamers or content creators. You already had to have had a following of X number of people, because out the door, everything costs money. You couldn't watch it's like Patreon. It's like if Patreon and YouTube had an illegitimate child, and everything was gold key out the door. Watch one video, you've had to pay money. Be on the service, I think you've had to pay dues. You had to have a certain amount of metrics. So that pretty much kicks out 90% of YouTubers out there, or streamers out there. That gets them kicked out, and that disqualifies them. And there needs to be a new service. I wish I had the money or the backing or something, because I would love to start a new streaming or YouTube service, or YouTube-esque service, because it's not right. It has become old. It has become outdated. the reaction from the executives or the teams is reactionary. They go in like robots, collect their decent sized paychecks, and go home and do the same thing day after day, and they just don't care. And that's why a lot of small YouTubers that are talented will stay small, because unless you're putting out X number of videos a week, making X number of revenue with X number of views with X number of subscribers, you don't exist. And right now, I'm okay with that. I mean, like I said, I'm an amoeba floating in an ocean by one vent in the universe that is YouTube and Twitch. But I think that Mr. Kenshin issues isn't just limited to YouTube. Twitch has issues as well, and I'll probably have a someone will, with my luck, no one watches my stuff. I mean, I do this for the fun and games of it and the camaraderie. But with my luck, the one person is going to see it, and I'm going to have like the bat signal sized bullseye right on my amoeba tail end. And I'm going to be sunk faster than the Titanic in an iceberg field. But I think to round everything up and conclude it, Mr. Kenshin is a very intelligent individual who has pointed out a very glaring problem within YouTube, even among the elites of YouTube. But I also want to say that it's just not a YouTube problem. It's a content creation website genre problem. Certain people can get away with certain situations that others can't. And it all comes down to the company is scared of angering a certain group of people. And I'm just using this example. I mean, I believe in the equality of the sexes. I had that when I grew up with just my mom and my grandmother. My dad decided to pack his bag and ditch town when I was 9 years old and tried to take my mom down with him, and take everything we owned. So I'm not in pro. I was never, since I was 9, in pro white male, man only, black male masculinity power. I was never in that camp because I saw a male judge, my old man, and male lawyers rip my mom, ruin her career, and ditch us both to the curb. And he did mutually assured destruction, got almost nothing out of the deal, and ruined everyone involved. Because he thought my mom was wealthy because she had her own practice in a field at a time. So I've never been pro-man, but certain people, certain groups, like, the feminist groups, the LGBTQ plus groups, organizations are terrified, or being linked to to a kid doing something stupid and writing in the letter before he did, YouTube made me do it, or whatever. They are terrified of that. They're terrified of being labeled bigots and racists and homophobes and all the ists and obes that exist out there. And so if someone calls them out on their BS and hits at this, they're going to have a knee-jerk reaction, because that's what giant companies who try to put on the persona of we love everyone and we apply to every single group who do when they get caught with their pants down or their mathematical equation hanging out. And this is, I think, is what happened here. And I hope Mr. Kenshin and Mr. Septiceye, for I don't know his real name, Mr. Markiplier, I hope they can put their power to do some good. But like I said, this is just the view of an amoeba. Right now, I'm just putting out there what a consumer. These guys are creators and providers of content, and I'm just a consumer of content. And this is pretty much my voice, my thoughts on the matter. I wish everyone involved in luck. I think everyone should be equal. I don't care who you are, who you love. I don't care if you're, purple with yellow polka dots. Everyone is a valued member of this planet and should be listened to and have the same opportunities as everyone else have. So I've sat back in my old job before I quit and watched people, good people, because whatever the company initiative was at the time, if they wanted more minorities in, well, they put more minorities in whether they were qualified or not. Then those poor minorities, without because my company did not believe in training people, would get fired for lack of training, and it would be a new flavor. Oh, now it's like women's empowerment. We have to get women in certain positions, and they promote women for the sake of promoting women, provide zero training, and they would get fired. Then it would say, okay, well, let's find someone who can fill the job, and then they take because the higher ups were easily threatened, they would take the least qualified person because they think, oh, we can control this person, train them, not train them. They'd fail and they get fired. The place I went through five managers, 5 or 6 managers in a 5-year span, and the managers where I worked were pulling out $80,000 a year, and I worked my butt off. I worked 20-hour shifts. I did other people's jobs when they refused. I have a management classes, a certificate in leadership, and a bachelor's degree, and 2 minors. And I was routinely passed over promotion, and the people who were put above me were a guy who was a good-natured fellow, but he harassed women and had his front teeth rotting out, and never finished high school. I had a woman manager who looked into my face and said, "You have no leadership abilities whatsoever." And 12 months later, she was escorted out the door for falsifying records and not being able to do her job. So that's the background I'm coming from. And when I see someone unfairly targeted by the man or a major power, I really do, and I wish him the best of luck, and I hope he can get answers, and I think, I hope it helps everyone, the amoebas like me, to the Saturns and Jupiters and Earths of Mr. Kenshin and Mr. Septic Eye and Mr. Markiplier, and I'm not trying to be sexist. These are the 3 videos that I've seen so far. I've not gone into, I know there are big, just as equally important female YouTubers out there. Tater Tot, Kara Corvius. I probably butchered her name because that's my shtick. I butcher names because I'm bad at pronunciation. There are big female YouTubers out there, but I haven't seen where any of them have said anything about this. So, but yeah, again, I don't know if I'll put this out here or not. I've gone 28 minutes now, and I'm actually recording this on OBS, so this is just my 2 cents. Take it as I try to be as organized in my thoughts as humanly possible. I know I don't believe in scripting things. I always believe in being straight up, honest. What you see is what you get. I don't want to be fake, and I know me streaming or me putting up a YouTube video at all, that's wandering into the land of fakiness and hard to tell what's real but I just want to have fun, and I just want everyone to have a shot. I mean, anyone who really puts in all the time, energy, and effort to put these videos out, I think everyone deserves a shot, and no one should have to worry about being raw dogged by a math algorithm or a bunch of executives who like one person or the other. I think if you're going to run a major company like this, everyone should be equal and everyone should have a chance. But hey, this is the Ares 2G version of what grinds my gears, and I hope it actually made sense, was coherent, and you got what I was trying to say. Take care. Good luck to all the parties involved. YouTube, Twitch, all the big providers, the only 2 major ones that exist out there. Please try listening to people for a change. And all of you, wherever you come from, whoever you love, just take care. We're all on this crazy ass rock together, you know? Before some idiot causes it to blow up. We're all in this together. So, good night, take care, and hopefully see you guys around sometime. Later.